What if I told you there's a single story that connects you to every single living thing on this planet? From the absolute deepest parts of the ocean to the highest mountain peaks. Well, that story, that's biology. And today, we're going to dive in and take a look at the blueprint of life itself. So think about this for a second. What on earth could you, a massive whale, and a microscopic virus possibly have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup for a really weird joke, right? But the answer actually tells us something pretty profound about how our entire world is put together and our place in it. And the answer, of course, is biology. Let's just break down the word itself. It comes from two Greek words, bios, which means life, and logos, which means study. So it's literally the study of life. It's the science that decodes the shared rulebook for everything that breathes, grows, and exists. It is the ultimate connection. Okay, to really wrap our heads around this architecture, we need to see it at every single scale. So we're about to go on a journey. Think of it as a cosmic zoom, starting with the entire living planet and going all the way down to the tiny atoms that make it all happen. Ready? Let's start at the very top. We begin at the highest level you can imagine, the biosphere. Now, this isn't just the planet Earth. It's that thin, incredibly precious layer of life that covers it. The best way to think about it is as one single, gigantic, interconnected living system. Everything is right here. Let's zoom in a notch. Now we're in an ecosystem. This is like a specific neighborhood within that big biosphere, say, a coral reef or a rainforest. It's where the living things, like the fish and the coral, are constantly interacting with the non-living things, the water, the sunlight, the rocks. It's a whole dynamic world in itself. And inside that ecosystem, you'll find a community. This is basically the cast of characters. So in the savannah, it's not just about the lions. It's the lions and the zebras they hunt and the grass the zebras eat. It's all the different species sharing the same stage and interacting with each other. Okay, let's narrow our focus even more to a population. Now we're talking about just one of those species, a whole herd of elephants, or a massive colony of ants, or a school of tuna. They're all one group, living, competing, and working together in the same area. And from that population, we finally zoom in on one single individual, the organism. One tree, one lion, one person, a single, complete, living thing. But our journey isn't over. Not even close. Now, we go inside. So inside any complex organism like us, you'll find organ systems. You can think of these as specialized departments in a company. For example, your digestive system is a whole team of organs, your stomach, your liver, your intestines, and they all have one big mission: process the fuel that keeps the whole operation running. And each one of those systems is built from individual organs. Take the heart, for instance. It's the absolute powerhouse of the circulatory system. It's this incredibly specialized structure built from different kinds of tissues, all working together to do one relentless job: pump day in and day out. So what gives an organ its power? Tissues. Tissues are groups of similar cells that all work together on the same task. You've got muscle tissue that contracts, nervous tissue that sends signals. This is the literal fabric that weaves our bodies together. And now we arrive at probably the most important level of all, the cell. This is it, the fundamental basic unit of life. Everything we've seen so far on our journey is either made of cells or is a community of things made of cells. This is the smallest package that we can truly, genuinely call alive. But hey, why stop there? Let's keep zooming. Inside every one of those cells, we find organelles. These are like the cell's own tiny organs. You've got mitochondria acting as the power plants, generating energy, while the nucleus acts as the command center, holding on to that precious genetic blueprint. And what are those tiny organelles built from? Molecules. These are just atoms bonded together into groups. And here's where we meet the real superstars of biology. DNA, that famous spiral staircase of life, water, the solvent for pretty much everything, and proteins, the tiny little machines that do all the actual work in the cell. And finally, we hit rock bottom, the atom, the fundamental building block of all matter, living or not. And this to me is the most incredible part. The carbon, the oxygen, the hydrogen atoms inside of you, they're the exact same kind you'd find in the most distant stars. Life isn't made of some special, magical stuff. It's made of ordinary matter, just arranged in the most extraordinary way. So we've just seen this mind-blowing architecture of life, stretching from entire planets all the way down to single particles. But how in the world did we figure all of this out? Well, that requires a pretty special set of tools.
At the very heart of that toolkit is the biological method. It's this really powerful, systematic process for turning simple curiosity into actual knowledge. It always starts with just an observation. You see something interesting. That leads you to form a hypothesis, which is really just an educated guess. Then you test that guess with experiments, you collect the data, and you draw a conclusion. And when a conclusion stands up to test after test after test, that's when it earns the prestigious title of a scientific theory. Now, because life is so ridiculously diverse, biology itself is broken down into these huge branches. You've got zoology, which tackles the entire animal kingdom. Then there's botany, which covers everything related to plants. And microbiology, that's the one that dives into the invisible world of bacteria and viruses and all the other microbes that secretly run our planet. And from there, it gets even more specialized. I mean, genetics is all about how traits are passed down through generations. Ecology explores how all these different organisms fit together in their environment. Biochemistry gets down to the chemical reactions that power us. Pharmacology uses all that knowledge to create life-saving medicines. Seriously, there is a branch of biology for just about any question you could possibly ask about life. Okay, so this stuff isn't just theory sitting in a textbook. The real magic of biology is what it lets us do in the real world. So let's take a look at how this science is shaping our lives, right here, right now. For one thing, understanding biology opens doors to careers that literally change the world. If you master genetics, that could lead to breakthroughs as a biotechnologist. A deep knowledge of pharmacology is the path to becoming a pharmacist. And a passion for ecology? That puts you right on the front lines as an environmental scientist. And let's be honest, that kind of work has never been more critical than it is today. Biology is basically our #1 weapon in the fight against our planet's biggest threats. It's the science that helps us understand and combat climate change, protect endangered species, and figure out how to heal our damaged ecosystems. The problems are huge, for sure, but biology gives us the playbook to start solving them. So we've really come full circle, haven't we? We've seen that biology is the blueprint for all of life, from our whole planet down to a single tiny atom. We understand those plans better now than at any other time in human history. So the only question left is, what are we going to build with them?